let's chat. And hopefully, most of us are getting older. Hopefully. And hopefully, we've got good health and good faculties, and we're all doing well. And Eric Bell is with us to talk about how do you finance that. And I love that that headline you brought in, Eric.
Oh yeah, I brought this headline in. It's 2015, and it says this little kid on the cover of Time magazine is going to live to be 142 years old.
And from 2015, that kid was actually a real picture.
Oh yeah,
because they didn't have AI then.
And he's probably one years old at that point, so he's probably about 10 years old right now.
Wow.
So with medical advances and all the different things we know, he's going to make it supposedly to 142 if he doesn't get in an accident or something unfortunate happens to him.
So let me throw this at you then, Eric, because so many of us in the financial planning world, I mean, do you do I know you do insurance work.
Correct.
Are the insurance policies based on an actuarial table of 142 years of life?
Right now it's 120.
120.
120.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, again, keep yourself healthy. You can make it to over 100. Most of us are. And this year, I don't know if you know, Ron, this is the 1 year in the United States that more people are turning 65 than ever.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they said that last year too.
No, they said it this year. 1959. That was the year.
1959. Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Born in 59. Yeah.
So interesting. And it's fascinating, not to get political in any way on this, but a lot of the numbers that we watch when it comes to housing show that those people, when you're looking at first-time home buyers, the demand diminished significantly, and the building diminished significantly in 1970. Started in 1973 when Roe v. Wade came about.
Right.
Because the births at that time were dropped dramatically. So fascinating to watch that. But now 65 right now.
Yeah, and and young homeowners, usually what they're doing is they're getting money from their parents. Parents have leveraged
Sure.
their house to help them buy a house, or their reverse mortgage to help them buy a house, gave them cash out of a reverse mortgage, things of that sort.
I like that idea. I'm glad my kids don't listen to this, but it makes this a smart idea, because then you get to the senior, the elder, because based on what you just shared, at 65, that means you're just hitting the halfway point.
That's right.
They get to enjoy the fruits of their labor with their kids and see the kids have it, instead of, there's no, last time I checked, there was no U-Hauls in the processional.
No, a lot of people are doing living, I don't want to say it, living type of benefits right now. They want to see their kids enjoy the money while they're alive versus trying to see if they can see it from the grave. So that's what's going on right now.
Now, the question becomes, because we had somebody on recently that was, we had Martha Jo Patterson on. She was a estate planning attorney. And she was saying that a lot of the parents are gifting and deeding properties to their kids.
Trying to switch it over, that can get complicated, but you definitely want to have an estate attorney do it for you the right way the first time.
Right. Yeah. And her comment is parents are living longer, and then the kids put them out on the street. So got to do it the right way.
Yeah. And, one of the things I'm a proponent of is having a life insurance policy with a long-term care rider. Because if you make it to 120, who knows what's going to happen along the way? You could get sick, be put in assisted living like my mom is. We talked about that the other day, Ron. And then, other episodes have happened. My mom just had a stroke. So now we're looking at possibly nursing home if she can't return back to assisted living. But having that long-term care and assisted living, you don't have to liquidate any assets if you really have that in place.
It's another big push for sitting down with a professional who's got experience and putting together a plan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you and I talked about it. We were young at one time and kind of knew what we knew, but we know a little bit more now, but we're always learning. So, yeah, sitting down with someone, in my mind, who's tenured in their space is by far the best thing to do.
So let's throw this out there. What about somebody like me? If I do the quick math, I think I'm 61.
Okay.
Oversize.
Okay.
Pretty good health.
Yeah.
Can you still get an insurance policy anyway at this age?
You probably could, but you'd be rated. Just depends on internally what's going on. Weight's one factor, but also, your blood, all the different factors. You got some, but you got to see what's going on with it.
Okay.
But all the other factors, more factors than just size that comes into play.
So you made a comment there that we need to, I'm a simple guy. What does it mean rated? Isn't everybody rated?
Well, you got super preferred. Those are the people that are absolute good health and everything checks out.
They're the ones that finished the marathon yesterday.
Probably. Yeah. And then you got the preferred, a little bit below that. You got standard, which I qualify for. Then you start going up the scale to about D or G in terms of your rating. And that just means it costs more for the life insurance.
Okay, so if I get but I still can get it.
Correct.
And I can still get that rider then.
You sure could.
Okay, so
now it would how you would miss the riders if you had an incident where you needed long-term care in the last, I want to say 5 years, they probably would not give you the long-term care rider.
Okay, so but that would also be tied into the rating then, because
Correct.
you'd probably be rated if you had an incident in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's never too late then.
No, and and let's say it is too late for someone. There's always, let's say you're doing a reverse mortgage, you took some money out of that and you want to invest it somewhere for a lifetime income. You can buy an annuity with a long-term care rider on it also. So it's not really qualifying for life insurance per se, but using a life insurance product.
So you made a comment there, Eric, and I want to get into this because it is a little soapboxish.
Okay.
So I was watching the Business Channel last week, and there was a guy on there that was up in the Pacific Northwest, and said, you never, ever, ever want to use an annuity. And I just, sometimes I have to hold myself back from throwing something at the TV when people are on there like that.
Yeah, that's what they say, and the thing I like about insurance products is guarantees around them.
Right.
When you get to a certain age, you want guarantees. You don't want the volatility of the markets. You and I started as brokers years ago. You don't want that volatility of the markets. You want to have a steady, consistent thing that you can count on, and insurance products provide that for you.
And so my soapbox is that there are no bad products out there. There are bad applications of products.
Correct. I agree.
Right? I mean, for this gentleman that, for his clientele, maybe the annuity isn't the right tool, but for somebody else, the annuity might be the best tool.
Yeah, and I would put it up against probably anything depending on what your age is and what you're trying to accomplish.
There it is.
Yeah,
so it's not the product that's bad. It could be the application could be, or maybe it's not. I mean, it's just, you have to have somebody that's going to my point is you can't make anybody that makes a blanket statement like that, to me, I think is a little bit misleading.
Well, you know what happened, Ron? Just same thing with reverse mortgages. They weren't bad many years ago. Annuities may have been bad or got a bad reputation many years ago, but everything has evolved and everything's a lot better and works for the right situation.
That's the key thing right there. We're going to continue our conversation with Eric Bell when we come back. Continue our conversation this morning. Eric Bell, Bell Insurance Solutions, is our guest, chatting about how do we just plan for the future. That's the biggie right now, is understanding, we're all getting older. We're going to live longer. And a big worry for many, many people, I've heard this for the last 25 years, maybe more, is I don't want to outlive my money. So you got to have a plan. So what are some of from our seniors doing, Eric, to help protect their assets, maybe create some sort of a legacy?
It all starts with the discovery meeting, Ron, just finding out more about them, more about the family dynamic, who they're trying to take care of in their passing and who they might be trying to take care of, while they're alive. A lot of parents are skipping the children and going to the grandchildren in many cases.
I like my grandchildren better than my kids.
Well,
my grandson.
The parent is usually the enemy between the kid and also the parent.
Exactly.
So it's the two against the one in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah. As you get older and older, and the grandkids are there, you start saying, something. Could I skip that middle stage?
That's right. And a lot of people doing generation skipping trust, things of that sort on a portion of their wealth. But I guess lining up with a good estate attorney, talking to a good financial planner or a financial person such as me, and also, having a good mortgage person in your hip pocket, because if you got your assets, a mortgage or real estate, commercial or residential, you want to be able to do the right thing with it.
Household board of directors. I should copyright that term.
A lot of people doing it.
Household board of directors. I mean, they're having that insurance planner, financial planner, CPA, estate planning attorney, family lawyer, whatever you need, realtor, lender.
Well, all people can't be at one company. Usually you got to go to several sources to get the absolute best brand or best type of person for each particular situation, but have them working in collaboration with each other.
Tell us about your company, Eric. So do you represent many companies, or how do you work?
Well, I represent probably about 52 different insurance companies. I'm also securities licensed, so there's numerous things that I can do in terms of stocks and bonds. I'm also a realtor, but usually what I'm doing is I'm finding the best in breed for that particular situation for that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like the one size fits all.
No, and then outside of me, I mean, I have tax attorneys at my fingertips, CPAs, enrolled agents, real estate people, lenders like yourself that I can go to for help because I don't want to talk about something I don't really know about.
And that's a whole issue right there. Just because you start thinking about those concepts and you say, how I know that these studies that I need to do in lending.
Mm-hmm.
If I tried to do that in securities and then insurance, I would probably be doing a disservice to people because there's only so many hours you can be studying.
Right, right. During a discovery meeting, Ron, you're also finding out what's the next best step. Even though I might have brought the person to the table, the next best step may be having them talk to you about the
Right.
mortgage and so forth. So whoever is the next best step, to me, that's kind of the leader of the conversation. Everybody needs to leave their ego at the door and come in and do the absolute best thing for the client.
Makes for a lot nicer life and a better client experience.
For everybody.
Right.
For everybody.
And you know something, one of the things you brought up there that I don't hear enough is the concept of that discovery meeting. There's so many people that are just out there to sell something.
Well, get a product sold, make a commission. That's the way a lot of people work.
Right.
I don't want to say anything about the younger people getting into the world, but a lot of them have goals. They work for a big company, so they got a goal to meet every quarter. If they don't meet it, they may not have that job. So that's the pressure on them. When you get tenured like us and you work for yourself, there's no rush.
Yeah, and there's the thing. So you're more comfortable in the whole process because you're not in that moment saying, I got to cover the mortgage this week.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
So you're able to say, something, this isn't the right solution for you, but let's bring Eric in, let's bring in John, let's bring in whomever, and find the right solution.
That's the absolute best way to do it. Instead of trying to put a square peg in a round circle, you don't want to do that because it's going to come back to haunt you.
So how long does your discovery calls or discussions take?
It depends on the family dynamic. I mean, it could be 2 or 3 meetings of an hour or longer, just talking about what exactly you want to do, who the moving places. I mean, we have people in second, third marriages now. There's a bunch of different kids from different marriages and trying to meld that all together.
That
and
must
also
be
the
challenging.
business concept, big time challenge.
You got, I don't know about 30, 40 years ago when you had that, where there was, quite as many multi-partner households.
Yeah, but those people were having 6 to 11 kids at that time too. So it was even more complicated when you start trying to take care of grandkids and all the other kids in terms of what they want to see happen.
Absolutely. So that is a challenge. So what is when somebody wants to come to you and they're in their mid 60s,
mm-hmm.
What do they need to bring to you in order to kind of get the process started?
I think the first discovery meeting is just talking. They don't really need to bring much. They could bring statements. They could bring existing insurance products, investment product statements, and we could look at those. But I mainly want to just learn more about them and what's going on in terms of their family. Like I've been saying, the family dynamic, their business that they're in, if they own a business, assets outside, and they can just speak to those without statements normally.
So they're just coming and kind of giving you what their overall goals are, so to speak.
Right. And they probably got a number of questions to ask me. Where did I start? What did I do? They want to know some history on me. A lot of times people are referred to me from someone else, so that makes it easier, but they still don't know exactly what I've done in the past. They want to learn more about that.
And so many people are totally confused. What does a financial planner do? Right. I mean, they've got the stereotype of the insurance guy that's walking around with the suit and the briefcase and, that from the old movies shows. And that's really not today's program.
Well, it depends on who they are. If they're quote unquote, a millionaire client, they probably got a CPA in place. They probably have an estate attorney in place. So my role is to collaborate and partner with them for the benefit of their client. They're really the relationship manager, quote unquote, and I'm kind of stepping in to do my piece. So I kind of get in where I can fit in. If it's someone who's not that millionaire client, they're starting to start from the beginning, I may recommend a estate attorney for them. I may recommend a real estate person for them. I may make recommendations to them.
So if somebody's just graduating college, got married, having their first baby, is that too early to get started in this process?
Not really too early to get started in this process. Too early to get started in the process with me, but not too early to get started in the process. Okay, you're never too young. You're never too young.
So you still recommend that they have some sort of
sit
a
down
consultation.
with someone. Exactly.
So are you dealing more in the retirement phase of someone's journey?
I'd say people 50 plus.
50 plus. Okay.
Yeah. So one foot on retirement, the other one, on a banana peel. They're thinking about it.
So they've got to get ready for it.
Get ready for it. And the sooner you get ready for it, the better off you'll be when you want to execute on retirement.
Maybe you have an opportunity to be retired longer.
Exactly.
We're
Exactly.
going to continue our conversation with Eric Bell when we come back. Continue our conversation. Eric Bell is with us, Bell Insurance Solutions, chatting about financial planning, how to get to that enjoyable retirement, the time where you're not stressed. And we talk about debts, and I've shared this many, many times. Eric, you may not have heard me say this, but the reason I left the asset side of management was because I realized that more people wanted to be in debt than wanted to be financially free.
Yeah, that's kind of the way we do it in America,
right?
We see what we want now. We want the candy right now instead of paying for it.
Right. Let's get the mortgage and the biggest mortgage possible,
Right.
and let's get that $1,000 car payment, now averaging over $800 for car payments in America.
Yeah.
I want to go on a trip, so I'll just put it on a credit card.
And that's all fun till you get to be about 50.
Right.
And then you start realizing how close you are to retirement and seeing other people around you retire, and you kind of go into a panic. You want to downshift and maybe do some smarter things at that point.
You hope that you still can do that.
Yeah. I mean, you got the income to sustain all that debt that you got. And, the point you just made on the commercial, Ron, is try to consolidate that debt to a smarter model for yourself, and then reposition or reallocate money towards your retirement, put it in the right places.
Right. Now, how do you deal with balancing in your line of work, as far as balancing a portfolio and getting the diversification that's required?
A lot of times I work with people from Merrill. I work with people from Morgan Stanley. I work with people from UBS. So a lot of times they want to handle the equity piece.
Okay.
And the way I look at insurance many ways is as a fixed income piece. I sold a lot of bonds when I was selling securities, more so than stocks. So I look at the insurance as more of a fixed income piece, and we'll tailor it to complement what they're doing. And then also we look at, we talked about it before, the long-term care piece, because if you get sick, I mean, that can just kill your assets. That will tear up a legacy in a minute, having to sell assets that you didn't want to sell and want to pass on.
Especially if you're forced to sell. No one's ever forced to sell at a good time.
Ever. And
right.
And people know when you're not selling it at a good time, and they're going to go ahead and get you down to a price that they want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that I've shared many times, I've actually taught this class over at Chapman College about using an insurance to retire just using the mortgage, no 401k, no IRA. What are your thoughts on index universal life policies?
I love them. I mean, they're cheap insurance. It's cheap insurance compared to whole life. You have flexibility in terms of what you're putting in. And, if you're looking at it as a retirement plan, you want the absolute minimum insurance wrapper around the cash so it can grow. You're not buying $1 million policy. You're buying the minimum insurance wrapper around the cash that you're putting in so it can grow and you can take it out when you get ready to.
And there's a lot of people that don't understand that you want the minimum insurance possible.
I know. And there's a lot of insurance guys that won't tell you that.
Right.
So, you want to make sure you're dealing with someone who's going to put the minimum insurance around that cash to have it grow for you.
Now, I know that when I was at Merrill Lynch back at the turn of the century, I hate saying it that way, but
you're dating yourself.
Exactly. You used to say, well, you can't pull money out of your real estate and put it into investments. And I used to say, something, if I could take the equity out of my property that's doing absolutely nothing for me, because there is a 0 rate of return on home equity, and put it into an index universal life policy, those are usually pretty safe.
Well, Ron, you just talked about a tax situation that's going to be favorable for you too. I mean, you got the mortgage, which the interest on that is deductible. You're moving into an annuity, which is now not a qualified annuity, it's a non-qualified annuity. So that your taxable events on the distributions is minimal.
Right.
It's minimal. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're from what I understand, and I'm not a tax guy, so consult your tax people.
Either one of us are.
Either way. Both, yeah. Right, exactly.
Let's make that disclaimer.
And Eric's licensed, so we're not giving individual advice.
Yeah.
Right. This is educational stuff. If you want individual advice, call and make an appointment.
Right.
So you could when you go and you start taking the money out of your annuity or your IUL down the road sometime.
Right.
You're taking out, from what I understand, you're borrowing against it.
Correct. You're borrowing against your life insurance death benefit is what you're doing. But you can only borrow the cash value, but it's going to be offset by the death benefit if something were to happen to you.
So usually when I mention the word borrow, that means that there's not a taxable event there.
Correct. Tax-free.
Right? Yeah. So if I borrow against my house, there's not a taxable event.
Tax-free.
If I borrow against my insurance policy, that's not a taxable event.
I love tax-free, tax-free.
I like those
Everybody
words,
does.
right?
Everybody
those are my two
does.
favorite words.
Yep.
Right. And then when you go to when you pass, there's benefits with the insurance world to your estate from insurance benefits.
That's correct. You know, what you borrow will be subtracted from that death benefit. The proceeds will go to your beneficiary or trust on a tax-free basis.
You said tax-free again.
I know.
That's 3
Stuck on
times.
that. I'm stuck on that.
You know, I like that idea.
Yeah.
So the whole idea here is, and I've said this many, many times, if you ever hear a financial individual say that a product is bad, well, number one, if it was bad, it would be all over the media and everybody would be talking about it, and there wouldn't be very many people offering it. So the question becomes, then you need to take, as a consumer advocate, I'm going to tell you, look deeper and see why. Is it because it doesn't pay that individual? Maybe. You might want to be talking to somebody who says, you know something, the product is not bad. It might be bad for your situation because X, Y, and Z are better, right? And you can offer those things. That's called education. And I hate to say this, but my late friend Steve Harney, he just passed away a couple weeks ago. He used to say that, you know, the people that are in the financial world should be acting with the heart of a teacher, right? I mean, when your discovery call, that initial call, when you talk about it, you're not expecting to bring in a new policy and sign the dotted line.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's going to probably be 2 or 3 meetings and conversations, and maybe a Zoom meeting also before we actually get to that. Yeah.
Right. Because you got to find out what the right product is for the right person. And when you said you have 50 some companies that you work with,
even the right insurance company within what I have available to me, I got to pick the right one for that person based on what they tell me. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And that's a big issue. I think a lot of times when you, and not to put down the guys and gals that work for a specific company,
mm-hmm.
but if you work for a specific insurance company, XYZ Insurance,
that's all you're pushing.
Then you're pushing that company, because it's like going to the big bank. You go and ask the guys over at Chase what Bank of America's rates are today. They don't know.
They have no idea. No idea.
Because their product is their product.
Exactly.
So I'm a big fan of when you have multiple companies that you can, you know, find the right source for the right person.
Yeah, the non-proprietary model has definitely been the best thing for the client. We're not using proprietary products. That's for sure.
So you just said it much more eloquently than I did.
Say it again. Yeah, non-proprietary by far is the best thing for clients. You know, like I said, one company can't be all things to everybody. So the way my approach is to bring in the seasoned, tenured professionals on what we need after the discovery meetings and execute. That easy. And that's the bottom line too, is finding people that are going to execute on behalf of the client is by far the best thing to do.
And this day and age, you've got to really be chatting with a insurance professional that has your best interest at heart, because I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm going to say 99.99999% of the people never read the insurance contract.
Never.
Right?
Never. No, they don't.
There might be that one in a zillion that reads it.
Well, they read it, but they don't know what they read also, you know.
Yeah.
So it's legalese and a bunch of other language that you probably don't understand because you don't see it on a daily basis.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to trust that individual that you're working with.
That's right.
That they've got your best interest at heart, and you're going to get that after those 2 or 3 or 4 meetings that Eric's talking to you about.
Well, and even after you get the insurance contract, you got a 30-day free look. You know, you can look at it. We can discuss things. I always encourage people to look at it, read through it, mark things off so we can talk about it.
And I'm going to also throw one other thing in there. Be very careful of going into any kind of these products, right after a major event. So it used to be that you couldn't buy earthquake insurance. I don't know if it is now. You couldn't buy earthquake insurance within 30 days of a major earthquake.
Yeah, that sounds right. I'm not in the property and casualty.
Right.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So don't do these things on a emotion.
Yeah.
Do them on getting educated and understanding what's going on in the whole process.
And base it on facts.
There you go.
The facts for you. Yeah.
Fact for exactly. What's your situation? Because my situation may not be the same as yours. You may not be 61 years old and bald, right? I mean, so big issues right there. If you want to meet Eric Bell, give me a call at 800-306-1990. Happy to put you in touch.